Snow Queen. Long ago, there was a wicked goblin who made a looking glass which made all the good things that were reflected in it shrink to almost nothing. But bad and ugly things were magnified. One day, the looking glass dropped and broke into a million pieces, scattering all over the world. Whenever it struck someone, it made them cruel and unkind. A number of these little fragments of glass floated in the air. This story is about what happened to one of the fragments. In a large town lived two poor children who loved each other dearly. Their parents were neighbors. The little boy was called Kay, and the little girl was called Gerda. Once Kay climbed on a chair and peeped outside. Snowflakes were falling outside, and one of them, the largest, fell on the edge of the window. The snowflake grew larger and larger till it took the form of a beautiful ice maiden. She nodded towards Kay and waved her hand. Frightened, Kay sprang down from the chair. Spring came and roses grew beautiful than ever. One day, when Kay and Gerda were playing, suddenly Kay exclaimed, "Oh, something has stung my heart and gone in my eye too." It was one of the tiny glass splinters. "Oh, see?" cried Kay, whose heart had now become a lump of ice. "That rose is warm even, and this one is so ugly." Gradually, Kay started to mimic all that was unpleasant around him. He didn't even spare little Gerda. One day in winter, while Kay was playing with the other boys, Kay was drawn to a large sledge. He sat in it and went off. Kay noticed that the snowflakes grew larger and larger till they took the form of the Snow Queen. After Kay had disappeared, Gerda cried a great deal. When spring came, she said, "I will go and look for Kay." So she went down to the river and got into a little boat. "Perhaps the river will take me to Kay," thought Gerda. She glided down till she came to a large cherry garden in which stood a little house. An old woman came out of the house. "You little girl," cried the old woman, "come inside and tell me who you are." Gerda told her everything. Then the old woman led her inside the hut. The old woman was the Spring Queen. She had longed for a girl like Gerda. Time passed, and Gerda thought less about Kay. The queen was afraid that if Gerda saw the roses, she would remember the roses in her home, and that would remind her of Kay. So, with her magic wand, the queen faded all the roses of her garden. But one day, Gerda happened to see a picture of a rose on the witch's cap, and immediately she remembered Kay. "Oh, what have I been doing?" cried Gerda. At once, she ran out of the house and thus escaped from the witch. She walked on. On her way, she met a wise squirrel who told her that Kay was alive and living with a princess. But to her dismay, when she reached the palace, she found a young prince and not Kay. The princess peeped out of her bed and asked Gerda what was the matter. Gerda told her story. The next day, Gerda bid farewell to the royal couple and traveled in a gold carriage which the prince and princess had provided her with. Suddenly, the carriage was attacked by the robbers. The robbers dragged Gerda out of the carriage. But they did not harm Gerda. After the captain of the robbers had heard Gerda's story, he told her, "I have seen Kay in the palace of the Snow Queen in Lapland." With the help of the robber's daughter, Gerda escaped, riding on the reindeer. The reindeer soon reached the palace of the Snow Queen. When Gerda entered the palace, she at once saw Kay. Kay was almost blue with cold, but he did not feel it, for his heart was a lump of ice. He was trying to fit pieces of ice into one another. He wanted to make them spell the word love. The Snow Queen had told him, "If you can spell that word, you shall be free." When Gerda saw Kay, she ran and put her arms round his neck, crying, "Kay, dear, I have found you at last." But Kay stood still and cold. As Gerda wept, warm tears fell on his neck. It taught his cold heart. Kay looked at Gerda and burst into tears, which swept away the glass splinter from his eye. "Gerda, dear little Gerda, where have you been for so long?" They held each other's hands and went out of the palace. Finally, Gerda and Kay reached home, hand in hand. There they found everything just as it had been, only they had grown up a little.